Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Vargacharya Astuttara Shri Srimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Granthara Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Tamal Krishna Goswami Namini. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namini. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatadhistarini. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nasta Preshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistukir. Hare Krishna. Thank you for coming this morning, Sunday morning, to the Srimad-Bhagavatam class. It's nice to see all of you, all enthusiastic, raring to go. And today we are going to read from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 7, The Science of God, Chapter 6. Prahlad instructs his demoniac schoolmates, and we are doing text 26. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Iti, Ya, Abhihita, Trivarga, Iksha, Trayi, Nyaya, Damau, Vivida, Cha, Varta, Manye, Tat, Etad, Akilam, Nigamasya, Satyam, Swa-atma arpanam, Swasuridaha, Paramasya, Pumsaha, Dharmartha kama iti yo bihitastrivarga, Dharmartha kama iti yo bihitastrivarga, Ikshatrayina yadamo vividacha varta, Ikshatrayina yadamo vividacha varta, Manye tad etad akilam nigamasya satyam, Manye tad etad akilam nigamasya satyam, Swatmarpanam swasurida paramasya pumsa, Swatmarpanam swasurida paramasya pumsa, Dharmartha kama iti yo bihitastrivarga, Ikshatrayina yadamo vividacha varta, Manye tadetad akilam nigamasya satyam, Swatmapanam swasurida paramasya pumsa. Please chant. Dharmartha kama iti yo bihitastrivarga, Ikshatrayina yadamo vividacha varta, Manye tadetad akilam nigamasya satyam, Swatmapanam swasurida paramasya pumsa, Dharmartha kama iti yo bihitastrivarga, Ikshatrayina yadamo vividacha varta, Manye tadetad akilam nigamasya satyam, Swatmapanam swasurida paramasya pumsa. Ladies. dharmartha kama iti yobitas trivarga ikshatrayina yadama vividha cha varta manyetare akilam nigamasya satyam Swatmapanam sasurida paramasya pumsa Dharmartha kama iti yobitas trivarga Ikshatrayina yadama vividha cha varta Manyeta akilam nigamasya satyam Swatmapanam sasurida paramasya pumsa Dharmartha kama iti yobitas trivarga Ikshatrayina yadamau vividha cha varta Manyetaretar akilam nigamasya satyam Swatmapanam sasurida paramasya pumsa Dharma, religion, artha, economic development, kamaha, regulated sense gratification, iti, thus, yaha, which, abhihitaha, prescribed, trivargaha, the group of three, iksha, self-realization, trayi, the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies, naya, logic, dhammau, and the science of law and order, vividha, varieties of, cha, also, varta, occupational duties, or one's livelihood. Manye, I consider, tad, them, etad, these, akilam, all, nigamasya, of the Vedas, satyam, truth, swa-atma arpanam, the full surrendering of one's self, swasuridha, onto the Supreme Friend, paramasya, the ultimate, pumsaha, personality. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki. Translation. Religion, economic development and sense gratification, these are described in the Vedas as three varga, or three ways to salvation. Within these three categories are education and self-realization, ritualistic ceremonies performed according to Vedic injunction, logic, the science of law and order, and the various means of earning one's livelihood. These are the external subject matters of study in the Vedas, and therefore I consider them material. However, I consider surrender to the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu to be transcendental. Please repeat. Religion, economic development, and sense gratification. These are described in the Vedas as three varga, or three ways to salvation. Within these three categories are education and self-realization, ritualistic ceremonies performed according to Vedic injunction, logic, the science of law and order, and the various means of earning one's livelihood. These are the external subject matters of study in the Vedas, and therefore I consider them material. However, I consider surrender to the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu to be transcendental. Purport. These instructions of Prahlad Maharaj stress the transcendental position of devotional service. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 14:26, Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samitit aitan brahmabhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. One who fully engages in the devotional service of the Lord is immediately raised to the transcendental position, which is the Brahma-bhuta stage. Any education or activity not on the Brahma-bhuta platform, the platform of self-realization, is considered to be material. And Prahlad Maharaj says that anything material cannot be the absolute truth. For the absolute truth is on the spiritual platform. This is also confirmed by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita 2:45, where he says, Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna. The Vedas mainly deal with the subject of the three modes of material nature. Rise above these modes, O Arjuna, be transcendental to all of them. To act on the material platform, even if one's activities are sanctioned by the Vedas, is not the ultimate goal of life. The ultimate goal of life is to stay on the spiritual platform, fully surrendered to the Parama Purusha, the Supreme Person. This is the object of the human mission. In summary, the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies and injunctions are not to be discounted. They are means of being promoted to the spiritual platform. But if one does not come to the spiritual platform, the Vedic ceremonies are simply a waste of time. This is confirmed in Srimad-Bhagavatam 1.2.8. Dharmaha swanistita pumsam visvakshena kathasuyaha notpadayad yadiratim shamaevahi kevalam. Duties, dharma, executed by men, regardless of occupation, are only so much useless labor if they do not provoke attraction for the message of the Supreme Lord. If one very strictly performs the various duties of religion but does not ultimately come to the platform of surrendering to the Supreme Lord, his methods of attaining salvation or elevation are simply a waste of time and energy. Om Agyanatimirandasya Jana Shalaka Chakshusan Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukam Karati Vachalum Pangum Langete Girim Yatkipatamam Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Paramananda Madham Shri Chaitanya Ishvam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Savodito Gododiya Pushvanta Chitra Sandhu Tamolada Dharmartha Kama Itiyo Bihitastri Varga Yakshatrayina Yadamo Vividacha Varta Manye Tadeta Akilam Nigamasya Satyam Swatmarpanam Sasurida Paramasya Bhumsaha. Translation. Once again, religion, economic development and sense gratification. These are described in the Vedas as three varga or three ways to salvation. Within these three categories are education and self-realization, Ritualistic ceremonies performed according to Vedic injunction, logic, the science of law and order, and the various means of earning one's livelihood. These are the external subject matters of the study in the Vedas, and therefore I consider them material. However, I consider surrender to the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu to be transcendental. Can one of you give me the Bhagavad Gita? So here, Prahlad Maharaj is saying that a lot of the discussion in the Vedas, they are not pointing towards the surrender or the worship of Lord Vishnu. Predominantly, the topics in the Vedas are geared towards material prosperity. Thank you. Yeah, that's all. And so therefore, Prahlad Maharaj saying is that's not what is important actually. He considers them external subject matters. And therefore I consider them material. Okay, so it's very important for us to understand. Now, Vedavyasa, he wrote the Bhagavatam, and in the very beginning, you can say the second verse, he says, Dharma projita kaitavatra paramo nirmad saranam satam. Where he's saying, right, very clearly he's saying, what is this? Dharma, religiosity. Kaitavatra, that means these are all fruitive intention. Kaitavatra. What to do? Projitaha. Completely kick it out. Reject. So what kicks all this out? The Mahabhagavat Purana, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Very clearly says all these are not into it. So we can see that the instructions are very standard throughout the Bhagavatam, right? All the instructions by the Acharyas, by the Supreme Lord, they never change the instruction. It's always the same thing. So you can see here also, Prahlad Maharaj also says, all these are external and material. We should not become too engrossed in it and become attached to those things. And therefore, we should not focus on that. But he says, surrender to the lotus feet to be transcendental. It's beyond these material things. It's beyond. Because as long as you are focused on material things within this material world, then what is the outcome? What is the outcome? Huh?
Coming again and again to this material world.
Yes. Repeated birth and death. Why? Why do we get repeated birth and death? Someone else? Yeah, you cannot get satisfied. Why is that?
Because one is part of Krishna.
Only part of Krishna? What else? We think we are the enjoyer, but you're not satisfied. Huh? No moksha. Not really, because you're not satisfied. Why are you not satisfied?
It's an illusion.
It's an illusion. Another thing? It's temporary. What else? All these are good points. What else? What is our nature? What is our nature? Okay, we are looking for Ananda, but what is our nature? Yeah, our nature is Satchidananda, and we are spirit soul, and therefore you cannot really get much out of these material things which are temporary. We are eternal beings. So the source of happiness also must be equal in subject matter also, as well as in the way the nature should be the same. So the only way you can become completely happy is when you're connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is also Satchidananda also. Srila Prabhupada, as I mentioned also last night, we are part and parcel. Very, very simple to understand. You're part of the entire parcel, then you feel, oh, I'm safe, right? When you are wandering in the forest all alone, you don't feel so happy or so on. You want to go home. Once you go home, you lock the door, you feel warm, you sit there, you feel happy. Yeah. So in the same way, we are part and parcel of Krishna. When we are away from Krishna, we lose the ability to feel protected, to feel comfortable. We are not happy. But when we are with Krishna, immediately we feel the happiness that is natural for us, and the service brings up more and more what we want to do, and that's very important. So therefore, Vyasadeva, very early on, he makes it very clear. All these material things should be rejected, because they are only going to ground us, as Prabhu was saying, in this world which is anityam, asukham, lokam. Okay? So therefore, we have to be very, very clear about that. In the Srila Prabhupada quotes this verse from 245. If you look at it, from verse 242 onwards, these are all very important and very nice verses. From 41 you can actually say, because there Krishna says one has to be resolute in purpose. So, but let's look at from 42 and 43. Krishna says, men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to heavenly planets, resultant good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, they say that there is nothing more than this. So Vedas, mainly 95% of the instructions in Vedas point to having a wonderful material life. But then Krishna says, Bhogaishvarya prasaktanam taya parita chetasam vyavasatmika buddhi samadavana vidyate. And what is that? In the minds of those who are too much attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. So, yes, that is before he makes it. Eke kurunam, be focused. Otherwise, you will be attracted to these Vedic rituals, and therefore you are thinking these are important. The three vargas you are thinking is more important, but actually they are not. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says this is not important. Yeah? These are the Purusha arthas. But Prema Pumartha, he says that's the fifth goal, and that is the Prema Pumartha Mahan, means love of Godhead. That is what we are supposed to cultivate. That is what our goal is, what is meant to be as human beings. That's what we are supposed to do. Otherwise, you will be too attached. Bhoga and Aishvarya. That means you want to enjoy some material things and you want lots of opulences. So when your mind is focused on those kind of things, samadavana vidyate. It's not possible to focus on spiritual matters. And therefore, here you see Prahlad Maharaj says, I reject this. And in the very beginning of the Bhagavatam, Vyasadeva says, that I reject also. So it's very clear. It's very clear, very standard, and we should very quickly understand these principles. Then when we are practicing sadhana bhakti, we will understand, okay, I can't indulge in these things too much. Okay, I'm indulging now, what to do? What should I do? Because Krishna says you shouldn't be doing that, because then we can't focus on Krishna. He says that you can't. The resolute determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. These are in the very beginning of Bhagavad Gita. So it's very important for us to, go through this. In the very beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada says we should scrutinizingly study the Bhagavad Gita with the help of a spiritual master or a devotee who is our well-wisher, guide. Because that's the purpose, no? We are all here for that purpose. How to connect back to the Supreme Lord. We are lost. We need a shepherd. We are lost sheep. So, Prabhupada is here, telling us how to go back to our original position. And then Krishna says, which is what Prabhupada quotes in this verse, Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunya Bhava Arjuna Nirdvanda Nitya Sattvasto Niryoga Shema Atmavan. The Vedas deal mainly with the subject of the three modes of material nature. The most you can get is mode of goodness. Practically, actually, if you do all of this Vedic sacrifices, it elevates you. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada says, in summary, the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies and injunctions are not to be discounted. This is also very important. Why? There may be people who cannot just take up devotional service. It's not possible for them. So they may have to do these Vedic ritualistic activities. But there's a good thing behind that, because everything you do, the rituals you do, the first person who accepts everything, Bhaktaram Yagya Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, is Krishna. So even though the guy may be worshipping some demigods for some benefit, the first person to accept that offering is Krishna. So indirectly there's some bhakti there. And so slowly he's making some progress, inch by inch, life after life. To take up devotional service, you need faith, Shraddha. But Shraddha is something that is not immediately gained unless it's blessed, right? Generally, when we take up the process, Shraddha takes many, many, many lifetimes. Rupa Goswami explains. That means maybe many lifetimes ago you came into the temple, you saw the deity and say, oh, they look good. Because you thought they look good, there was some positive devotion there. Agyata Sukriti. Or you came and the devotee say, please come help carry this box of Bhagavatam, stuff like that. So they are getting some benefit. Unknowingly they are doing some devotional service, and therefore they are making some advancement. So similarly, ritualistic performance in the Vedas, for those who are not able to take up pure devotional service, it is helpful. But having said that, we can see within this verse here, where in the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Sukadeva Goswami is saying, or Sutta Goswami is saying, Dharma swanistha pumsam visvakshane katasya notpadaya yadiratim shrama eva hi kevalam. If the occupational duties you're doing to get some wealth, to get some good living and so on, economic benefits and so on, if you're doing all those things, but if those things are not bringing you closer and closer to Krishna, then you're wasting time. It's said very clearly, you're wasting time. So it's very important to understand these principles, because it helps us very much. Why? Because then we factually and with determination will make good choices. If you don't understand these principles, then you will just go, right? You'll go just dancing away your life, right? You make choices thinking, I feel good, I'll do it. But sometimes devotional service may not feel so good in the beginning, right? Krishna says, activities in the mode of goodness in the beginning is not so desirable. Yeah, but at the end, the rewards are fantastic. Yeah. So devotional service is like that. It is even far more than just actions in mode of goodness. It brings you closer and closer to Krishna. Otherwise, we will keep coming back and again. Then you can put a sticker at the back of your car, coming back again and again. Right? Instead of going back to Godhead, coming back. Tyaktva swadharmam charanam bhujam hari bhajana pakva yato patat yadi yatra kvava badra abud avushya kim kovarta apto bhajatam swadharmataha. So this is in the 5th chapter of the 1st canto, I think 17 verse like that, where Narada Muni explains to Vyasadeva how that a person, even if they do devotional service and they fail, they make mistakes, Narada Muni says they are still successful. They have not lost anything. But a person who's not doing devotional service, but is doing the 3 vargas very nicely, is not gaining anything actually. Because he loses everything. Because why? There's no connection to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it's very important again for us to evaluate all these principles that have been taught very nicely by our acharyas, Srila Prabhupada and so on. And always ask ourselves, every day you should ask yourself, at the end of the day before you lie down to rest, you say, what have I done that has improved my spiritual life? How much have I done that will make me a better devotee tomorrow? Or you can say, oh my God, I've wasted today. Let me do something more. And with that, you sleep. Next day, you will have that impetus to do things properly. Now, if you don't feel impulsive or the impetus to do things properly, then the practice has problems. That means you are practicing and there are some problems because it's not evoking those sentiments. Rather, you are doing exactly what Prabhupada is saying, Shrama eva kevalam. You are doing activities just like it's an occupational duty. Okay, I'm initiated. Okay, I've got to chant 16 rounds. Okay, 16, right? 16 rounds. So all these are just doing it, numbers, pushing numbers. There's no intent in your heart to have a connection with the Supreme Lord. Actually, devotional service is all meant to be connecting with the Lord. It's very important. So, if you continue like this, and if you are into all these rituals and trying to have more and more economic things in your life, Krishna continues in text 52. When your intelligence has passed out of the dense forest of delusion, you shall become indifferent to all that has been heard and all that is to be heard. That means if you use things properly and understand the connection with Krishna, then your intelligence will come out of the dense forest of delusion. Right? Otherwise, we are always thinking of my economic situation, my family situation. So those are okay, those are good to think, but where is Krishna in that thinking process, right? So therefore he says we should be very careful. And then he says when your mind is no longer disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas and when it remains fixed in the trance of self-realization, then you will have attained the divine consciousness. Okay, so it's very important for us to practice properly. Yeah. So in all of us, Prabhupada also writes, there is this dormant affection for God. Many times, and I've heard many devotees also say, how do we know that we have this natural attraction for Krishna? But Prabhupada says in his purports that there is this dormant affection for Krishna within everyone. And even in Chaitanya Charitamrita it's very clearly stated like that. If we do not awaken this propensity properly, then the dormant affection becomes perverted. That means the propensity is actually to love God, but if I'm not practicing to do that, it's going to be misdirected. Yeah. And this misdirection happens through karanam guna sangasya sad asad yoni janmasu. That means the way you associate with the modes of material nature. with people who are not Krishna conscious, you mix with them thinking they are my well-wishers, I love them, they love me, things like that. And then you move on in life, but then you're not making the adjustments necessary to connect with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As devotees, particularly, you have this opportunity. It's very rare, right? This opportunity to make this connection in this life is very rare. Yeah? The Manusa Janma itself is very rare. Right? But to become a devotee is also very rare. Bahunam janmanam anti jnanamam mam prabhadyanti samahatma sudurlabha vasudevam sarvam iti. Of course, we may not be Mahatmas, but we should at least understand Vasudevam is sarvam iti. At least theoretically, we should accept that. Or if you don't know, you read Prabhupada's book and discuss this in earnest with one another. Then you can make good choices in life. Mostly we make bad choices. It's a given. We make so many bad choices. Even devotees, as we are practicing, we sometimes make bad choices. But the good thing is we recollect and say, why did I do that? Okay, I'll have to fix my train of thoughts. Right? So how will you fix your train of thoughts? What are some ways you can fix the train of thoughts? Okay, you're saying surrender. Chanting, that's good. Any others? Don't be afraid. I won't say you're wrong or something. I won't crucify you.
Devotional service.
Devotional service, good. Yes, Prabhu?
Being present in the moment.
Meaning?
Meaning that when we are doing a task, we a lot of times we are the think of the past or the future. We are not mostly present in that moment, even while chanting.
Okay. His point is, when you are doing chanting, you are thinking, I'm chanting for Krishna, I'm chanting to connect with Krishna, right? Be specific in these things. When you give a generic answer, many people will imagine generically. But when you give an answer specifically, they cannot think anything outside of that example. Yeah. Right? Luke. Anything to add? How would you connect yourself to Krishna? Yeah, association with devotees. How do you know they are devotees? Huh? Yeah, exactly. You hear, then you know this is a good person to association more and more. Or if you want to help them, you say, look, let's don't talk about anything else, let's talk about this thing. Huh? Of course, many of you may say, I have a family, I have things to do. Yes, but the family and the things to do are part of your sadhana. You have to make it such that they appear to be sadhana also. Huh? Your children and so on are who? They are also part of Krishna. Therefore, your duty is to train them and serve them to reconnect with Krishna. The whole thing is we have preconceived notions due to past life. We have all kinds of understanding due to present life where we had association, bad habits, right? We have so many of those things, and so they are going to affect us when we come to Krishna consciousness. When you take up Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada says you are declaring war against material energy. Now, is material energy bad? You're quiet. Devi Esha Gunamaya Mama Maya Duradya. The material energy is Krishna's energy. How can it be bad? Right? Pardon? We are fighting it because we want to be independent of Krishna. Yeah. So therefore the material energy comes and then says, yeah, I'll give you some more. I'll trap you and so on. Then we want to fight. We want to enjoy, but we don't need all these disturbances. So we want to be independent in all circumstances to enjoy and say, I survey and I'm the Lord of everything. Yeah. But it doesn't work. Aham bhogi. Yeah? That's how we are thinking. But actually you can't do that. So in the same way, if the occupational duties you're doing doesn't give you liberation or support the elevation of your consciousness towards Krishna, then you must think carefully. Do I need this kind of occupational duties? It's something you have to think about, because each of you may be in a special case, and therefore you have to think about, or you get guidance from someone who can tell you exactly how you can make better choices. Yeah. And the soul, we are always hankering for what? Hankering for Anandam Buddhi Vyasa, which you mentioned earlier. Yeah. We are wanting that. And it can only, as I mentioned, like it's a puzzle, there's only one piece that can fit the puzzle. Sometimes you're looking for it, right? It's the same way. Our happiness can only be fulfilled only one way, and that is only through connection with Krishna, devotional service with Krishna. Yeah. So Prabhupada is so kind, He's very kind. He has given us all these things from morning, Mangala-arati, all the way till the night you sleep. Even if you are working outside, doing other activities and so on, but you think carefully what Prabhupada wants to do, he has included all aspects of pure devotional service. What are the 5 most important things of pure devotional service that can elevate you to Bhava Bhakti? What are they? Association with devotees, chanting the holy name, reading Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, worshipping the deities, and living in the holy dham. Now, this is the holy dham, right? Prabhupada installed the deities. He is a pure devotee. Wherever the pure devotee is, it is Vrindavan. Yeah, so this is the holy dham. You have so many of you, all of you are raring to go back to Godhead. So many nice devotees to associate. And then daily we have Srimad-Bhagavatam class. Daily we have. And if you cannot come, I know many people are listening online. Right? So many. So they are all participating. And then they are chanting. Chanting, we want to chant, but many times we don't chant properly. So that's something you all have to work on. Each and every one of us, we should work on how to chant better every day. Right? So, and then finally? Deity worship. Yeah. So, whenever you have an opportunity, if you are second initiated, you should hanker to do deity worship. Whenever you have free time, you should do that. Yeah. If you can't, then you see how you can serve those devotees who are doing deity worship. Because that is part of deity worship also. They have a big pujari room behind, it needs cleaning, it needs so many things. You can go and say, yes, I want to volunteer. That is also deity worship. Right? You see something dirty in the temple, you walk around, you see, you pick it up. That is Krishna consciousness. And you may think, oh, I'm doing and nobody is seeing. Who is seeing? Krishna is seeing. So you're making advancement. Every day you make advancement. So like this, you have to do. If you choose another path, any other path, it may not bring you full happiness. And Mahaprabhu says that in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Bhukti mukti siddhi kami sakale ashanta. Krishna bhakti niskama ataiva shanta. So those who do Krishna conscious activity, they are actually truly peaceful. Those who are not doing those, who are chasing material things and so on, they are always dissatisfied. Right? If you get $1 million today, you are thinking how to make more $1 million. Right? It's a fact, you get something, you're like thinking, well, if I have one more, then I'm okay, Right? You pack prasadam, one box, you're thinking if I have 2, then I can have for tomorrow. It's a fruity mentality, it's there, but then we have to gear it towards Krishna. Right? Similarly, siddhis and yogis, they got power, and then what happens? They think they are equal to God. Yeah. So all these are disturbances. And you'll never be satisfied if you're pursuing that which is not connected to Krishna. Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe. To try to connect things to Krishna. Always. Right? Okay, I will stop here. It's past 8:30. Yeah, if you have comments, questions, correction, please feel free to do. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
What a wonderful class, clear exposition of the philosophy. Why there is so much importance to the lotus feet of Krishna? In every verse, everywhere we see, get connected to Krishna by lotus feet of Krishna. So,
okay, you tell me.
because there is nectar, all the devotees are there in the lotus feet of Krishna.
Yes.
And everything is connected with lotus feet.
When Krishna was thinking, one time Krishna was thinking, why everyone is after my lotus feet? What is there in my lotus feet? So, this is in the Markandeya Rishi pastime. So he gets washed up into this golden island, and there is a big banyan tree. Huge banyan tree and big leaves of banyan leaves. And in one of the leaves, Krishna is in the form of a baby. Lying down. So he's there, and then Markandeya Rishi is looking at him, and he has his feet, and he's biting the toe and sucking. And then he's saying, why are you doing that? He said, all my devotees are worshipping my lotus feet, and I want to find out what's in there. And then Markandeya Rishi said, no, you can't do that. It's for us to get to your lotus feet like that. So, yeah. But you are right, yeah. Everything is there in Krishna, yeah. Sakalendriya vritti manti, yeah. Every part of Krishna is the same, yeah. Thank you for that. Because you made me remind of that pastime. Yeah. Yes. Seviya. What service you are doing?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for the wonderful class. Prabhuji, you mentioned that Maya is not bad because she is Lord Krishna's energy. So then why does Prabhupada say that he has one criticism for the devotees, that they don't fear Maya much? So if it's Krishna's energy, then why do we have to fear from it?
It's just like policemen, you know. Do you fear policemen? When you don't fear, then you'll do nonsense, you know. Like criminals, they have to fear police. So in the same way, Maya's job is to keep us in line. As long as you are following Krishna's direction, then she will not bother you. Now one time, Maya Devi herself felt, why am I doing this job, you know, holding all these people, and people are blaming me, just like you're saying, right? So then she worshipped Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Mahaprabhu said, no, you're doing a wonderful job. So you're making sure the unqualified people don't come to Godhead. Yeah. So that's her job. You know, sometimes the task of a parent is also very difficult, right? They have to chastise the child to make them do the right thing. And then the child is thinking, my mother don't like me, like that. It may appear like that, but actually it is out of love and affection. So that's how Maya's job is, yeah. But Prabhupada is right. If we think, oh, Maya is part of Krishna, I can do whatever, then the problem is we have not come to the level of a Mahatma yet. We are still thinking of Duratma activities. So therefore we take advantage and then try to do nonsense. And that's what happens, you know. If you think, oh, Krishna is protecting me, I can do any nonsense. Yeah. So that's what Prabhupada is indicating. We cannot think like that. We should be very, very afraid. Until the time of death, you should be very careful. Because the material energy is his energy, they can come in and bewilder you. Remember, material energy has two aspects, avaranadmika shakti and prashadpadmika shakti. Yeah? One bewilders you, the other makes you forget. Right? You're suffering, sickness and you so much, after a few days you say, oh, it's okay, I can tolerate, I will continue. You may do nonsense again, yeah. So, therefore, we have to be very careful, yeah. Thank you, yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
What's the difference in Yoga Maya and Mahamaya?
What's the difference between Yoga Maya and Mahamaya? Yoga Maya is a Shakti of the Lord, is part of his Leela Shakti. She is predominantly in the spiritual world. She arranges all the different aspects of Krishna's pastime. That's Yoga Maya. And when the same Yoga Maya transforms when she expands into the material world as Mahamaya. So her job is different now. Her job is to give punishment to the living entities. Yeah. You can say it's a subset of Yoga Maya, for the simple way of understanding. Okay?
Yoga is playing part of Yoga Maya and Mahamaya?
No. Mahamaya is from the spiritual world. When she expands into the material world, she becomes Durga. Okay? It's an expansion of Yoga Maya. Yeah.
Who is Yoga Maya?
What's her name in the Krishna's pastime? Huh? No, that's different. The mother of Sandipani Muni. I forgot. I'm bewildered. Purnamasi. Okay. In Krishna's pastime, it's Purnamasi. And she's the Yoga Maya. So she arranges everything in terms of Leela for Krishna. But when she comes into the material world, her expansion comes, her energy comes. So that Shakti is Mahamaya. Yeah. Sometimes you have to read carefully because the way in the description, it may also, the Mahamaya may also mean Yoga Maya also. But you have to read carefully how it's connected or related to Krishna. Yeah. But otherwise, yeah, these are the two functions.
What is surrender actually?
Surrender depends from a very beginner level or up to the complete surrender. That means when you are completely surrendered, there are 6 levels of surrender, right? Bhaktivedanta explains that follow rules that are favorable and not accept rules that are not favorable. Yeah. And then understand that Krishna is my protector, maintainer. What else? Then you develop humility. You understand his position, you develop. Then finally, you give everything, whatever you want, you do. Like that. So there are 6 levels of surrender. Okay? Yeah. So for a beginner, how do you know they can surrender? You can ask them, you can chant, and if you see, they say, all right, I'll chant, then they're already on the path of surrender. Yeah. So generally many people say, no, I don't want to chant. So then they need, what do they need?
Guidance.
Huh?
Guidance.
No, they need something better than that.
Not faith.
Prasadam. Once they take prasadam, it purifies them. Yeah. Because we are not at very high level like Prabhupada. When Prabhupada talks, everyone like, oh wow, they can get purified. So we give them prasadam, we can chant and so on. Even our chanting may not be at the level of Srila Prabhupada's chanting. But the best is prasadam. Yeah. Immediately there will be a transformation of the heart. It may take a while, but it's begun. Once you start the spiritual path, you cannot stop it. It's only a question of time, how long they want to take, yeah.
Prabhupada was doing this all the time.
Yes.
Taking nice prasadam.
Yes, exactly, right? He personally cooked and distributed, yeah. So, yeah, so everyone should always keep in your pouch some some burfi or some sandesh or some cookies. So if you meet someone on the street who's so nice, you want to, that's your mercy. You're giving mercy also. You become a via media for Krishna. Yeah. Ultimately, we are not the doers, right? But Krishna in the heart will encourage us to go to some jiva and give them that. Yeah. Okay, it's almost 8:45. Shall we stop? Yeah. Thank you very much. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Premanandi. Hare Hare Bol.
I think